Welcome to the podcast. I'm Ty, a mom of two and entrepreneur. 2 years ago, I launched Next Chapter Studio, my motherhood photography business. And now I am launching Next Chapter Collective, a sister brand of my original business that is all about building a community for moms in any chapter of their motherhood journey. On this podcast, I will be interviewing other moms every single Tuesday, talking about anything and everything. We are diving into all of it. So join us every Tuesday for Next Chapter, the podcast, and let's get into it. Are you ready?
I guess so.
Okay, Annie, hi.
Hi.
Thanks for coming on. So I first wanted to start with you telling everyone a little bit about yourself, and then we'll dive into everything that I want to talk about, which I'll share.
Okay. Well, I'm Annie. I live locally here in Lake George. I live with my husband and my now daughter, Vanessa. I run a couple different businesses, or I've had a couple different businesses over the years. Right now, the biggest thing in my life is the dance studio and real estate. So I own the Body Bar that's in the mall. But we're currently moving. We're really excited about that. So we just took possession of the building across from the Harvest Pizza. So it's 12,000 square feet, and so we're under construction right now. So that's going to be really, really good.
That's so exciting.
Yeah, I'm so excited about that. So the big move will happen this summer with my business partner, Katie. So we're really, really happy about that. And that kind of just blew up, actually. Of course, when I was at the tail end of my pregnancy, we went from 175 kids to over 300. I don't know what happened.
You don't know why?
I don't really know why. I mean, the recital went really good in the spring, and then all of a sudden, just in the fall, it was just crazy. So, yeah, we're really, really happy about that. I mean, it's surreal. So, and then I own and operate Selling 80K, which is a real estate brokerage in Lake George. And that's been going great too. As you know, the market's been crazy, still crazy. I kind of expected it to kind of tone down a little bit, but really we're still hanging in there, and everything's been great. And I've got 8 or 9 agents underneath me. I can't even think off the top of my head.
Oh my gosh, I didn't know you had that many.
Yeah,
so exciting.
It's been good. Yeah, so kind of been juggling all that right now. Yeah,
just a few things.
Just a few things. Yeah.
Okay, so today I want to talk about entrepreneurship, obviously, because like you just said, that's a huge part of your life, as well as pregnancy and your birth experience and how life has changed, which we already started talking about, since becoming a mom, but also balancing your businesses. So I'm going to start with the business aspect of everything, and then we'll tie in the motherhood.
Okay.
So like you said, you're a real estate agent and owner of your own real estate agency, Selling 80K.
Yes.
You're also a dance instructor and owner of the Body Bar.
Yeah.
And then you just announced renting 80K, right?
Yeah.
Which is like an extension.
Yep, it's kind of just like a little part of Selling 80K. Obviously, we're renting. So we're doing a short-term vacation rental right now. So we're just taking on people's properties and kind of letting it be hands-off for them, running their Airbnb accounts and all that kind of thing. So,
I feel like Airbnbs are huge right now.
Huge, yeah. Short-term rentals are crazy. And then what comes with that is that there's been a lot more government regulation, locally. So each town or municipality is kind of cracking down on rules with that. So it's been kind of tough to navigate. And I think for owners of properties, they're getting kind of cornered and having to be aware of all those things. So on top of managing it all with cleaners and having the house stocked with all the things that you want and turnover, all that kind of stuff. So we're kind of making it a hands-off experience and letting them just kind of have their cash cow, and we're on the other end of it. So it's cool.
Okay, so you've announced that as well, and then you also previously owned 80K Traveling Bar.
Yes.
So that's a lot.
Yeah.
What made you want to be an entrepreneur, and how do you balance all of these businesses?
So I didn't really thrive in college. I kind of got through my 4-year degree. I remember my parents kind of telling me to just kind of get through it because I was a little bit lost. So I just kind of picked some classes that were interesting to me, and oddly enough, it was criminal justice. So that's what my degree is in psychology, actually. So I have a 4-year degree. Once I came out of college in 2015, I remember just sitting on the couch and I was like, I'm going to make a Facebook page for this bartending thing. And I was basically getting hired on the side to do private parties. And I thought, well, why don't I make it a thing? Because every time I was doing these little private parties, you know, somebody's 50th birthday or something like that, I would end up, people would ask me, hey, do you have a card or something? So I'm like, okay, well, maybe I'll make it a thing. So I made a Facebook page, and then I had somebody make me a logo. So it kind of got a little bit more real. And then I'm like, okay, well, I'm dealing with alcohol. Maybe I should cover myself a little bit more. So, I mean, as much as it does, I got an LLC. And it kind of turned into a thing. And the first year it took off, I booked, I don't know, like 20 weddings, and it became like a job.
That's pretty good, your first year.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, it just took off. It was really good. And then I started really pushing it, and that's kind of where everything started. With like business. And at the same time, I was also just getting into real estate locally up where my parents live in Chestertown, as you know. So, and that was going really well. And so I had some good like role models there. Just kind of being, you know, on my own time schedule was really hit it off with me. So
my husband always says to me, you will never be able to go and work a 9 to 5 ever again.
Never. I'm like unemployable.
That's literally what he said. I feel like once you get that taste of owning your own business and having that flexibility, you will never go back.
Absolutely. I mean, and the creativity behind it, and it's, you know, people always say you have to love what you do. And I've kind of always been a little bit, I love what I do, and I'm passionate about the things that I do for people, you know, the services I provide in different aspects of the businesses, especially with dance. You know, and then once I get into like a contract with real estate, I'm like, it's happening, you know, I'm going to make it the best for those people. But at the same time, I've always kind of felt like I have to love what I do, but I also, you know, do what I need to in order to do what I love, which would involve like skiing, hiking, being with my family, and the flexibility, biggest thing. So like I'm always able to take a bike ride with my parents, or, you know, I'll do whatever. I'll be able to go to every softball game that, you know, my kid plays and everything like that. So just the flexibility is, I would do anything. Honestly, at this point, like if I didn't have my businesses and they weren't doing well, whatever I had to do in order to have that flexibility. So
it's interesting that you went to school for something and you never
didn't touch it.
Yeah. But you're still so successful. I think that's such like not like a stigma, but I feel like so many kids I remember when I graduated high school, it was my parents didn't pressure me to go to college, but I feel like everyone around me was. So I just got in that mindset like, oh, I need to go. Everyone else is doing it. I have to go do it. And I feel like now as the years go by, this generation is realizing that you don't necessarily have to go get a 4-year degree, or you don't have to go get your master's to be successful.
It's so true and so important. I don't know what's going on in the public schools, but I hope that they are kind of like going that direction and saying, you know, you can just go work after school, or you can work a couple years and maybe go to college. I mean, it's a huge investment. You know, I went to SUNY schools to get my 4-year degree, and I actually kind of like came back and did ACC one time and like a semester. It was kind of a Mod Podge. I ended up with a SUNY 4-year bachelor's degree, which I feel like I did it smart that way in terms of I didn't have any debt, or I paid it off quickly, and you know, obviously had some help from my parents. So I mean, that worked out for me. But you know, most of these kids are coming out of school, you get a degree in whatever it is, and then what's your job going to pay? I mean, it's probably going to pay. It's not good. It's really not good. But trade schools are awesome. Working right out of, you know, high school is great. Getting some just maturity. I mean, for some kids it works to go away and have some autonomy and have to do their laundry and that kind of thing. And that kind of helps them just in that factor. But otherwise, I think you should work. Work is good.
Because I feel like I had no idea what I wanted to do.
No.
And I kind of just went to go. And then, like you said, you end up in debt. And like, wait, I don't even want to do this.
I mean, you're still a baby when you graduate. I mean, 21 years old. I mean, baby. Like, I don't think the same way anymore as I did when I was 21 as to now, you know. But
I know it's crazy. That big of a decision is something that you have to make when you're graduating high school.
Right. And I mean, unless you're going to become a doctor or an engineer and you've always been passionate about that, you know, fine. But I mean, how can you know? And sometimes it's like, okay, you committed to that, or are you just staying in it because you're committed to it financially and because you did? But so it is. It's crazy. So I've always thought, I mean, just work. Just work.
What made you want to start your own real estate agency?
So that's really, honestly, that's the same thing. It comes down to, I was loving real estate. I was at a great company. Everything was good. But then I get this like feeling, this fire to like want to do my own creative thing. I want to be responsible for the business side of things. And I think that's where I really thrive and like to do those things. I like to design the logo. I like to have it, everything, all the branding. I like the, idea of having people working underneath me and that I can train and kind of be like a team, like a unit. So that's when I kind of expired with being just an agent. I knew I had to go out on my own and be able to get creative with it and the direction I wanted to go, the office, everything.
Yeah.
So that was when that happened.
Were you scared to do that? That's a huge step.
Yes. Because you kind of rip that Band-Aid off. Like once you do that, you kind of, that's what you're doing. Yeah. Yep. And kind of with everything I've done, I've been really impulsive, and it doesn't, not like with a lack of care, but just to the fact that I just do it. I have to make it work. Everything, big moves like that, you just make it work, make it happen. And so same thing with real estate. I got really lucky in terms of right when I did that switch, it was 2020. We went into a crazy good market. Yeah. I did an outrageous volume that year. So it was really that confirmation that I needed, that I was in the right direction, and kind of kept it going from there. And then the agents joining, building. So it's been good.
I feel like it's been good timing for all of your decisions and the businesses that you've done. It's just right. Obviously you've worked hard, but it's also been that combination of you've done it at the right time.
Right. They say what luck is like, timing and planning coming together, something like that, and that's totally what it is. So worked out really good. That's awesome. Happy about that.
So out of all of the businesses that you've had, what do you see as your biggest accomplishment?
So honestly, I think I keep thinking about this and I'm like, wow, I kind of floated by the whole pregnancy. I was a stay-at-home pregnant person. I kept saying to myself, because I was super, super sick, like throwing up until like 22 weeks. So that was really rough to deal with. And wasn't in my physical best. So that was difficult to kind of like combat every day, I feel like, with, which I'm sure we can go into for days, so really, I mean, I keep saying to myself, I just keep going, not having to report to somebody else. And it's been years now that I have just had my own thing going, whether it's the bar, the studio, the real estate. Like I've had these side gigs. At one point I was, building furniture and people kept ordering things. It was so fun.
Cassie has, I think when you walk into her room.
Yeah, I know. So nice. And I miss that a lot. So I'm definitely, I want to do it more too, but little things that I've done to not have to do a 9-to-5 or report to somebody else. And so really that's my biggest accomplishment. I mean, the little things here and there, like about each business, have been really special. I mean, the traveling bar was my baby. Super proud of that. And it's still going. My business partner at the studio, Katie, and her sister own it now. So they're still doing it.
I didn't realize it was your business partner from the dance studio.
That's full circle.
Nice that who has, who took it over.
Right. And it was like an emotional sale for me because it was the first, so it was emotional and I miss it now, so maybe they'll hire me to bartend sometime. But I mean,
that's gotta be hard, especially I feel like as an entrepreneur with multiple businesses, you have that baby.
The baby.
And you obviously have the other ones that you're proud of and you grow and they kind of evolve with you as you get older, but you always have that baby that made you that entrepreneur.
Exactly.
It's sentimental.
I seriously remember sitting on the couch at my parents' house and making the Facebook page. Like I actually remember it. And, I felt kind of guilty, like I was abandoning it when I sold it, but Katie and Jackie, like that definitely took all that away from me. So, to feel good about giving it and,
And I like that you answered your biggest accomplishment, not by one specific example, but just by you growing these businesses and having that flexibility and kind of building. I feel like your biggest accomplishment is building kind of the life that you wanted. Yeah,
exactly. That's exactly it. And I mean, obviously the love from the kids at the studio, I mean, you can't really beat that. So it's like, no matter what, that's probably going to take, the cake. But, just being flexible, being on my own time. It's just been, and it's been so good for Vanessa, like the baby and or future babies, who knows, but it'll just be really good for that.
She'll always have mom around.
Yes.
Do you feel like a work-life balance exists for you? And if it does, what do you feel like you've done to successfully balance work life and home life?
I actually really feel like work-life balance is an interesting thing. Like, I feel like when you're self-employed or an entrepreneur, work doesn't really end, so that it's kind of like fluid. Some nights I'll be on my phone and laying in bed and like answering a text until 11, or like lots of text and emails, and then sometimes I won't look at my phone all day, and it kind of you set your own tone for that, I think. And for me, I might be a different person one day from the other. Like one day I might be, I'm in my phone all day. I'm texting, emailing on my computer, whatever, just kind of going hard. And then some days I'm like, nope, I'm going to, go on the boat, go on a bike ride, and I'm not doing it. So for me, the work-life balance really comes from what do you want to see out of it? The more I put in, the more I get out. And also being okay with maybe not getting a lot out of it. Like this summer, I definitely, like I said, stay-at-home pregnant person. And then, I went really late with her, so carrying her. And I mean, it's kind of fluid for me.
Yeah.
I think you need to work hard at this age. Like, I don't really give myself much room for excuses, and you want to give yourself grace, but I also feel like that's kind of a easy excuse sometimes. And I don't kind of let that into my head. I think once you let that into your head, you lose your like tact or something, you know. I've kind of really just kept pushing myself. And actually the first like 2 months after Vanessa was born, like January, February, I was really kind of like, I don't even know, like my brain wasn't attached to me anymore. It was like mom brain or pregnant brain, whatever it was. And then one day, I actually accidentally drank caffeine. It's so funny. I hadn't drank caffeine in like 5 years, and they accidentally gave me regular caffeine. I could tell.
In 5 years.
I don't drink caffeine.
Probably hit you.
Oh, wicked. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to finish this coffee because it kind of feels good. Like I can tell pretty quick, if I have caffeine or not. Because, if you go get a coffee, sometimes they mess up, whatever.
Yeah.
So I actually ended up having the whole coffee, and I was like turbo. Like it was crazy. I got so much done. And since that day, like it's almost like I needed just kicked my butt into gear, And so now I'm feeling a lot better about that, because my work-life balance was looking pretty crappy then. It was lots of life and very little work. And that's great. Give yourself grace, whatever. But at some point you have to hold yourself accountable and really push it. And I need that. Like I need to keep the work in there, because that's all part of it. And I told myself I owe it to Vanessa, my daughter, to hold myself accountable. Don't give into it. Don't give yourself too much grace. Because I think at that point you're letting yourself down.
I think it's also hard when you're an entrepreneur and you're on maternity leave, which isn't even really maternity leave.
What is that?
Because I remember with Lane, I had just recently, right before I had him, opened up Beauty Bubble, and I felt like I was home and I needed to be spending time with him, but like I also had this new business. So it's like, it's kind of this weird like in between, because you're not really on maternity leave, but you're not in there working, but your mind is going on what you need to do. And you're not, I mean, in some situations you're still getting paid, but in some you're not. And it's interesting. It's like this very weird
guilt.
Yeah.
Or like it just kind of like a cloud that kind of lingers. And honestly, the more I honestly was not enjoying my time home with her as much, having that lingering. And then once I did kind of dive in one of those days, just got it in gear, and got some stuff done, I didn't neglect her at all. I realized that I can do both.
You probably felt better mentally.
I felt so much better, and I feel so much better now. Like the past month has been so much different, and I'm sure that comes with like postpartum kind of stuff and everything, in time. So it's hard to tell what really did it or what's working and what's not. I mean, that's going to change, ebbs and flows all the time, I'm sure. So I'm only an expert at the first 3 months so far. So
just got those down.
I got it down. I got it down. It's behind me. I got it down.
Well, I was going to say, what do you feel like you're the proudest of with your businesses? But I feel like you kind of already answered that. It's just the lifestyle that you've created. Right? Yeah. Being able to just being able to say that I'm self-employed, and it just keeps going. It's almost like sometimes I'd be like, oh, well, this is going to end soon. I'm going to have to get a job. Like, I have a job, and it just doesn't seem like that sometimes for me. And, I've picked things that I can be really flexible with. And especially at the studio, I mean,
So we run like the school year. So September came and I wanted to make sure my classes were covered so that like if I was sick, which I had been, or like if I went into labor early, which I didn't, I wish I had that covered so I didn't have to go in. And that worked out really well. And I think actually the success of the studio has been having more teachers in the classrooms, like not one instructor with 20 kids. It's been, if there's 10 kids, maybe one instructor, maybe one like student assistant, or some classes have 3-4 instructors at the same time. Oh, wow. And it's the quality and it makes a huge difference. And then you're not anxious about, oh, so and so gets sick, who's going to cover that class, right. Who's ready, are they going to come in? And for me, now I had that coverage, they can kind of operate and go, and I can kind of dip in whenever I want, which is great. So, I mean, I just felt really flexible the whole time. Yeah. And I just kept thinking, oh yeah, I'm going to have to get a job. No, we're good. And so how many years of that has kept going, I'm proud of that for sure, to keep it going and growing and thriving, I guess,
So what helped you make the decision to expand into your new location for Body Wear? Because that is really exciting.
That was another impulsive move, honestly.
I love that. I feel like I see I don't know. I think we're very similar because if you ask my husband, he says I'm the most impulsive, especially when it comes to businesses. But I feel like that's what...
You have to dive in.
Yeah. Yep. And I feel like I always say that to myself. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out.
Right.
But at least you try.
Right. You have to make responsible decisions along the way. Yeah. And I mean, when I say impulsive, I mean like in terms of we're doing it. Like we're doing it, period. I had a lot of help. Especially my father-in-law obviously is a great example for a businessman. Yeah. So I had a lot of help from him and one of our other family members too, to make it a good decision, make sure we were making a good decision before we send our lives away. But, it was still one of those things like we're going for it, and Katie's always along for the ride and
that's
kind
good.
of.
That makes a big difference.
Oh, huge.
People around you in your business.
Yep.
Okay, let's go.
We're doing it. Yeah. Here we go. Hang on. Yeah. So, I mean, it needed to happen. So at the mall, we have 4 studios right now. So we have 3 leases, 3 spots. And, they're only so big and, you can only take over so much of an area. And then at some point we really just didn't want to rent. Yeah. I planned that Katie and I would kind of retire on this building eventually.
Okay. So let's dive into motherhood a little bit. What was your pregnancy journey like?
All right. So
where do you want me to start?
Yeah. Well, so it was, Dennis and I have been fortunate to be able to be really strategic and plan everything we've done. We were together for 10 years, got married, had a baby. We were really fortunate with that. So, that went pretty easy and great for us. I was super, super sick. I think I was eating pickled beets and I would crave 2 cans of them or pickled red cabbage. So strange. And then I would projectile vomit it up. That was the routine I was going on. So, up until the last time I threw up, I remember it was 22 weeks and I was thinking, when is this going to end? How is this still a thing? Everybody told me, get through the first trimester. And I was cursing everybody in my head. I had to open the door to my truck and projectile vomit in Lake George Village. The town workers saw it all happen. I kind of just look at them. I'm like, yep, we have a mutual understanding here. I'm driving away. I hope you guys just drive away. I don't know.
Nothing happened.
Nothing to see. And that was the last time. Thank God. So, and then the rest of it was all right. So up until then, I actually hadn't really gained any weight, but everything was good. I was healthy. I was fortunate. My cousins, a doctor in maternal fetal medicine down in Long Island. So I got to go down and she did all my scans for me. So it was super special and super fun. Yeah, we went down 4 times, I think, Dennis and I. So it was really cool and to hang out with them and do that. And it was really neat. So after that, it was good. And then I got really sick of being pregnant. I actually have to say I really did not enjoy being pregnant at any point other than the fact that I was pregnant and having a baby. Yeah. Otherwise, I had no interest in being not at my best. I was in my best shape ever for the wedding, which everybody is, Yeah. And then, to kind of lose it all. I mean, I don't think traditionally everybody has to lose it all. I'm sure lose your body, but I was so sick and crappy feeling. I was sitting on the couch doing a lot of Netflix, a lot of feeling sorry for myself and losing a lot of muscle, I think. And then Then I started eating. After the 22 weeks, I came back with a vengeance. So then I packed it on.
For the last 22
yes.
weeks, I'm going to make up
I'm going to make up for lost time, and I certainly did. So packed it right on. That was fun. Actually, it was kind of fun, actually.
Yeah.
And then I went like 11 days over.
Oh my gosh, you were that? I didn't realize.
So late.
You had to bed.
Yeah, and got induced. And that didn't go well. I labored for 24 hours. I ended up getting like stuck at like 6 centimeters with no progress. And I had like read hypnobirthing books and was so excited to do this, really good no meds. Yep, I was going in with the no meds, no nothing. I would never get an epidural. Like, I can do this. People did this. They squatted in fields. Like, I'm a woman, all this kind of thing. Oh yeah. And I did a couple hours at that 6 centimeters with no progress and put in that work. I remember I went into the shower and like did my thing in there. And I came back out. It had been like 2 hours. I'm like, check me. Like, I'm going to be like 8 centimeters. I'm powering through this. Right, it's happening. And I was already like 24 hours in at that point, but that's when it was getting really real, that just like I could climb a wall type pain, and, came out of there and they checked me and I'm ready for it. And they're like, no change. And at that point I was like, epidural, and then cut me open, like boom, boom, boom. And honestly, I don't think I was with it at that point. I think I was in so much pain. I was like checked out kind of. But they got me the epidural and I could think, and I look at Dennis and I was like, we have to get a C-section. Like, she's never coming out. She never is. And after, like, I swear it was 45 minutes later, I was cut open and we had her. Wow. And that the C-section didn't go great for me. I mean, I don't know. It was
you had a bad experience with the C-section?
Yeah, I was like throwing up the whole time and I was like white, my blood pressure tanked and all this stuff. And but then she came out and she had to get a little CPAP. She like swallowed some fluid. So apparently that's very normal. But, I didn't get to see her for the first hour. Dennis had to go with her. So I didn't get that whole like holistic skin to skin, like delayed clamping of the cord, all the stuff that I had read. And at that point, it didn't matter. I honestly don't think anything mattered at that point. Not even having a baby, I was just a marshmallow. Like,
I'm just a blob.
Yeah, I'm like, I might have a baby, might die. Like, I'm not really sure. You decide, you pick. And then, after that, an hour passed by, everything changed. I was shaking uncontrollably. I think a lot of people get the shakes. Yeah. They brought her in. Or Dennis was so proud. He wheeled her in. I was back in the recovery room coming off of whatever drugs I was pumped with and feeling like not human. And I'm shaking. They're like, okay, mama, you want to do skin to skin? And I was like, I think she's going to get scared. Like, make him do it. Like, have him do it. I've seen the dads do skin to skin. Yeah. I don't want to scare her. And they just plopped her right on me, like ripped my shirt off, plopped her on me, and immediately stopped shaking. Oh. It was like, it's so insane. And the nurses and Dennis are all like, what the heck is, like, what happened? And it's crazy. It was magic. And then they kept trying to like take her back, like so I could recover and have sleep, and I wouldn't let them take her. I'm like, no. And so they kept her back like 2 a.m., 3 a.m. And I was like, nope. So we don't separate. We stayed together. From then, yeah.
Did you feel any, not disappointment, but what was your mindset like having that plan going in and having it be completely different?
So, and I had been warned about that, and I've kind of been kind of like fly by the seat kind of thing, like in very realistic and all sorts of things, business, everything, kind of like, why waste my time caring about what could have been or should have been or would have been when here's the new information presented, take it and move on and like adapt quickly. So I think that's been helpful for me across the board. I mean, obviously, I feel like if I could sit down and just like really think about it and feel sorry for myself, I would definitely be disappointed. But I am really happy about a couple of things. One thing is that I felt the pain of labor, like I know now. And looking at any woman who has had no meds labor and a birth with no epidural, I look at them and they're sketchy. Like, you are sketchy, man. You've been through a lot of pain and did it. And so being able to understand that and have felt it, a lot of women haven't, and like, I don't know whether they wanted to or not, but whatever, like I got to do that. And also, right when I said, like, cut me open, this isn't happening, I literally feel like I said, I think it was an hour. and she was out.
She was
like
there.
they totally listened to me, like what I wanted. And obviously they were going to make the final decision. They're the doctors, but I mean, they literally just like listened to my demands at that point. And it was that was like liberating.
Yeah.
So honestly, I've been terrified of the epidural and the C-section forever. Like I would rather just die, I think. And no, I was like excited. I was like, drag me back there, pump me with whatever. Yes.
Knowing that.
Get it done.
Yeah.
Get her out and we're moving on. And so, yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with that. I mean, we'll see, honestly, if I try to do like a VBAC, if we have another baby and whatnot, but I'm honestly good with it. He sewed me up good. We're done. You know, we're good.
And she came and she's good. And that's all that matters.
Great.
Right?
Yeah. She was so healthy and happy and perfect, everything. And Dennis made sure to count her fingers and toes when she came out. He didn't know what else to do. He's like, so I counted them, you know? So, yeah. So really, I mean, just like everybody says, happy, healthy baby, nothing else matters.
How do you feel like your routine has changed since you have had a baby? Not even in regards to work, just like your daily routine.
Yeah.
How much do you, and I know we talked about this a little when you first came in, but how much do you feel, for you and Dennis, how has your lifestyle changed?
So this was the biggest rude awakening, I think, for me. And people had told me, and I was like, yeah, you're just not, you're not like me.
Yeah.
I'm going to do it my way. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no, that's real. And so the first couple of days were really hairy. Dennis and I kind of looked at each other like, what did we do kind of thing? Like a mix, and I've said this to other people, like a mix of like abandoning your old life, which you could not prepare for at all. Like no matter how many people told you it's going to change, whatever. No, you're your own person. No. And so that was a rude awakening, and mixed with kind of like a guilt of like, this thing is so perfect. How do we like deserve her? And then a guilt of feeling kind of sorry for yourself. Like our lives changed. What did we do? Kind of like, it was such a mix.
So many emotions.
Yeah, so many emotions. And so that was a tough recovery that first week, and kind of getting into a swing. And also being selfless for the first time. I mean, especially honestly, being self-employed, it's self,
Yeah.
selfish. I mean, and whether you're intentionally selfish or actively selfish, I truly do agree that you maybe don't really grow up until you have a child. And that was a smack in my face. Like, all right, it's not about you, not about how comfy you are sleeping, or not about, getting your glass of wine so you can relax. Nope. Out the door. Like you are now operating on this child's.
She is the priority.
She's the boss.
Yeah.
And rightfully so. And anything that derives from that would be selfish, and at the same time, it's like self-care and, all that kind of thing. I think that all comes into play. It's for the baby. You need to take care of yourself so that you can take care of your baby. And that's what you have to do. And then finally grabbing that and like understanding it and being one with it kind of made everything so much more blissful and like existing in a better place, I think, once I realized those things and got with it. But my morning routine definitely changed, because I would usually leave the house like 7-8 o'clock in the morning and just run errands. Like whether it was just grabbing a coffee at Dunkin' and like getting out and doing grocery shopping, whatever I needed to do, stopping at the office, checking the mail, stopping by the studio, going and stalking the construction over on the new studio, everything. No matter what, I was always out of the house, boom, ready to go. Kind of like low maintenance, just get out of bed and go. And actually that definitely changed.
Yeah.
But I was thinking this morning, that's coming back around. I've definitely been leaving the house. I still leave the house. She comes with me.
Yeah.
But more like 9 o'clock. But she's just a part of me now. She just does all those things with me. So I think the like length of time, I used to be able to just, brush the hair, a little bit of makeup, 5 minutes, be out the door. Now it's more like an hour.
Yeah.
Got to change her, got to feed her, got to pump,
crazy
whatever else.
How long it takes to get out the door.
Everything takes so much longer, like every little thing. And so that's definitely the speed of it's changed. But now we're kind of in a thing. Like we have an understanding. She likes the car. She likes the car seat.
That's
like
good.
we're doing our thing. We still go for, a morning cruise to go run errands, bank, mail, all that stuff, check on the office, everything.
Yeah,
and
you just have a little buddy that
I have a buddy, and it's even better. It used to be just the dog, but now it's me, baby, and dog.
Yeah.
So we do our thing. And then I love our nighttime routine. Like I was actually just saying to Dennis last night, like settling down at night and having her bath and going upstairs, nursing her to sleep is like the most relaxing part of my day.
Yeah.
It's like a new type of glass of wine.
Yeah. I always love the nighttime routine too. There's something about it.
I think it's a mix of like satisfaction that you're ending the day and like you're putting them down, and then also knowing that like in a couple minutes I get to be myself again. Yeah, like a little selfish for a second. Yeah. And I definitely still have my glass of wine, like bingo, absolutely. Yeah. Yep. So it's all kind of coming together. Yeah. It's
she's your buddy. So
she's my sidekick.
She does your routine with you. It's, you know, you have an extra person.
Yeah, it's always we now. Like we're doing this, we're doing that. Like, you know.
So what do you feel like the hardest adjustment or change was? Do you feel like it was what you just said, just really kind of figuring out this new
kind of
lifestyle?
like not being selfish and just moving quick. Like I'm very like impatient, like quick moving. So that, and then honestly the mom brain thing, like whatever that was, I don't know if it was chemical or what was going on, but it was like I could stare at a wall all day and just like someone would talk to me and nothing was there. And just like, or like I love Excel spreadsheets, and I would just sometimes I'd like just sit on there for like hours, and I have my spreadsheets for each business kind of, you know, in there doing things. And I couldn't spreadsheet for like 2 months, and that was a big part of my life. You know, like I don't know what happened. So I'm back though. I am back on Excel, back on WordPress, back to it all. So I'm having conversations. I can spreadsheet and I can speak. So
that is funny. I couldn't spreadsheet.
I couldn't do it. Yeah, the mom brain thing. It just it wasn't even bad during the pregnancy. Well, as bad, I'm sure people would say maybe I was a little foggy, but
you feel like it was worse once you had her.
Yes, once she came out, I was like, oh, I thought pregnancy was difficult. Like now she's outside of me. Like the paranoia, like you know, everything, all the things, things. Yeah.
That quote is gonna forever live. I couldn't spreadsheet.
Yeah. Mom brain.
So I know a lot of your friends that you have grown up with for a long time have also had babies recently, and they seem to all be close in age.
So 3 of us, Jenna, Lindsay, and myself, and then our friend who's kind of become like a Chestertown girl in a sense. She lives in Vermont. She's my friend from college from a dance team, but she knows all these girls now too. So 4 of us had all girls within 6 months.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
It's so cool. Like,
all girls too. That's
all girls. I honestly... So I have friends that have kids that did not have babies at the same time they're friends. I don't know how they did it, because every day in the group chat, it's like, oh, did this happen to you? And luckily I was the 4th one. So Vanessa's the youngest of the 4. And
so you have all the advice.
Oh yeah. So I was able to kind of like pick through their stories and see and pick their brains about everything. Now motherhood too. Like, so
that's got to be so special to see all of you guys, you know, having and raising like a second generation.
Yeah, it's so cool. Honestly, we were walking. We did like we called it the Monday MILFs walk.
Oh my God, I love that.
We just walked in Chestertown last week, one of the nicer days, and just did a lap through town. And of course, my mom comes driving down the road, and she's like, wait. She hops out of her car to take a picture of us. Yeah, and she was like all excited. So it probably is funny for the parents to see, see us too. But it's so cool. And it doesn't feel, it's weird. It feels normal, or like it didn't happen. It's so weird how these changes happen. But at the same time, it's like you don't know anything different. So I don't even know. There's not really a way to describe it, honestly. Yeah. Do
you feel like since becoming a mom, you have like lost any friends? Or I feel like when you have kids, you just naturally gravitate towards other women that are also moms, just because that's your life. I mean, your entire life is based around your baby. Do you feel like you're
literally in a different vortex, honestly, when you're a mom? Like I definitely still relate and appreciate my other friends just as much, but you for sure feel a different connection to those other, and I think some of my friends that had babies, maybe I'm closer again to them, which is kind of cool. Like cool, it brought us back kind of and in different ways, and something to relate to, because you know, you're an adult, you grow so far apart in different ways, and still appreciate, you know, all that, but now there's like something that kind of brings us together, and you appreciate them more too. Like now I've got a lot more, I don't know what the word is, like not sympathy, but like, or empathy. I don't really know what the word is, but like understanding maybe for moms now, when I was definitely more cut and dry. And actually it's helped me a lot at the studio too. So like I was probably more, like, I don't know, harsh. Like, I don't know what the word is really, but like, just black and white basically with kids about how, you're doing this or you're not, and like strict kind of thing. But now after having Vanessa, it's like, how would I want her to like, just softer, so much softer. So, and I think that's a good thing.
Oh yeah. I was just going to say, I love that. I love that you said that, because I feel like it really is, and we said this earlier, but it really does change a lot. It changes not only your life and your lifestyle, but like your mindset. Like you just really see things differently once you have your own. Better. I mean, that's the only way I can describe it, is better. Yeah. More like you just open your eyes a little bit more and just kind of see it from some different views now, for sure. Yeah. What would you tell a mom right now who is trying to balance also being an entrepreneur and also running businesses? Yeah, so I just like, it's hard for me to say this like eloquently, I feel like, but I feel like really being tender with the use of the word, like giving yourself grace. And I keep hearing that from people, like, oh, don't be hard on yourself. And I think that's really important, but like I said, like a certain dose of it. Yeah. I think you want to hold yourself accountable as you would have wanted to pre-pregnancy too. Yeah. And because you made those commitments prior to having a baby, and I think you owe it to your baby to be that person that you were before when you decided that you were ready to have a kid. Don't regress, and don't like abandon the things that you had going on before. And I'm saying that with a grain of salt. Like obviously baby is number one, and your relationship at home too with your husband and whatever you've got going on. So I mean, I think really paying mind to who you were before is going to benefit the baby as much as the whole giving yourself grace thing. And when I kind of had a kick in the butt, like I said, like 2 months in, where I started being like, what am I doing? Like start thinking, where I had that caffeine, man. That's when things really went uphill for me. And I stopped feeling like that hovering cloud, like we were talking about, of like the expectations you had for yourself, what you owe to, like, for me, for like my staff at the studio, I need to show up for them, and I need to be there for Katie, who was running the show, and I have to be there for the kids. They miss me, I think, and I have to be there for my agents who trusted me and put their license on my wall, so you have to be all those things and figure it out, basically. Make it happen. And I think once I started thinking that way, like Dennis, I came home feeling sorry for myself in that time frame, and because it was hard juggling it, and I came home and I was whining, and which I should be able to, and I do, and everything's great there. But he said, I don't know if you're familiar with Entourage, but he's like, be Ari Gold, like be an Ari Gold right now, like don't like, go be a shark again, like go for it. And honestly, I was so pissed at him when he said that. I was like, you don't know. But honestly, it's what I needed to hear, and I'm so mad to admit that right now, but you're for right, real, guys. You're right, whatever. But no, I needed to kind of get back into my shark. And so I would take, a new mom, I would take that advice with a grain of salt. And like, that might work for me, maybe not for somebody else's personality or situation, but I mean, I think that's what I needed. I like that you answered it that way, because it really is, I think it's easy to make excuses or to, I mean, and even not immediately postpartum, even now. I mean, I have a 5-year-old and a 3-year-old, and I still find myself sometimes being like, well, like I had a rough day with them, so I don't need to go do this. And I feel like whenever I get into that mindset, I have to sit down and say to myself, your business isn't going to grow if you sit here. Absolutely. It's not. I feel like whenever I get in kind of a funk, or I want to grow more than I am, I always say to myself, no one else is doing it for you. If you're not going to do it, you're not going to get up every day and work 10 times harder, then you're not going to make progress. And then the next day you're going to be down on yourself even more. Exactly. It's a spiral. And it's so easy to feel sorry for yourself. I mean, we're so good at it. Honestly, as a society, I think it's easy to be like,
well, like you said, I had a rough day with them, and cutting yourself some slack. And there's a certain aspect of that. I think honestly, just being able to combat that and recognize, I had a bad day with them. Okay. How do I fix it? Or like, is going to the gym going to make me feel better or worse? You never regret it. So there's been so many times where, I would maybe decide, no, I don't need to work out. I'm a mom now. Like, okay, I had to get up, I had to nurse and all these things that I had to do. No, like after that workout, 45 minutes goes by, I'm going to feel so much better and never regret it. And really, I mean, that's the kind of the mindset we need to have, I think, is you're going to be worse off when you give yourself too much of that slack. Recognizing it, that you maybe could use some slack. Sure. Great. Awesome.
Yeah. It's like
do something with it. Yeah.
Like obviously give yourself grace, but like you said, it is a spiral. And then climbing out of that.
Good luck. Yes. See you later.
What advice would you give a mom who's looking to start her own business?
Oh, yeah. So I would say go for it regardless of anything. I mean, so with real estate specifically, I always tell my agents a side gig is really good. Not only because you need money and you're probably traditionally, maybe not in this market, but you're probably not going to close a deal in your first like 6 months or so. Even if you put a deal together today, you're looking at 10 weeks out at least for a commission check. And that's if it closes. Right. So needing a flexible side job, so like bartending, waiting tables, whatever else, and building furniture, great things to do. So I'd say like when you start a business, you need to go full speed in, like not just dip your toes, but you also need to have a backup income. Be smart about it. Yeah. And especially with real estate and probably a lot of other things, you are a better agent when you're not super hungry for that money in terms of desperate, hungry for success and hungry for closing the deal. Great. But when you start kind of needing that paycheck, your mind changes in the way that you're kind of like massaging that deal through. So you want to be really careful about that. And I think with anything, like if you go into a furniture building business and somebody orders a piece of furniture and you are so thirsty for money that you kind of just like schlep it together, or if they don't like it and you just are a worse business owner because of your reaction. I mean, I just think that anything you do, always have like some sturdiness behind it so that you can come at it in the best like sense.
That's good advice.
Yeah.
No, hey.
And go for it. Be impulsive.
Just do it.
Rip the Band-Aid off and make it happen. Yeah.
Okay, last question. I've asked all the moms on here, what does your next chapter look like? And I know we've talked about it, but what is your next chapter? Whether it's being a mom, entrepreneur, family, all of that. Yeah, so I think it's continuing and holding it together the way I have it now or have planned. So basically not letting the businesses fail for any reason, and then being really present for Vanessa and Dennis, because that's super important too. That's a whole nother conversation because you're different now, which luckily for me, I picked a good partner for that, and we've been really great about changing in this together. So kind of just being present all around. Definitely want to be present. Don't want to have my nose in my computer too much, but I also want to because I need to be accountable for the things that I started and seeing them through and continuing. And I need to make the businesses continue to be successful because I want to be present with Vanessa's life. So it's kind of it goes on each other. So I am so excited for you. I can't wait. I can't wait to see this new location for the Body Bar, and I feel like you're doing so well with the real estate, and it's it's exciting every day. Just kind of just pushing it. I'm so excited. I'm like dreaming of that open house when the studio's done. I'll go in there and Vanessa and I just do laps through the building, kind of all right. And I've been taking pictures of us in there, just trying to remember when she's older and dancing in the studio and be like, look at you were literally this little, and or I was pregnant when I signed I was 30, she was 30 days old when I signed the agreement for the building. And I just remember thinking am I nuts? You're is this the mom brain? Yeah. Am I good? But no, just go for it. No, it's exciting. Yeah, thanks. And I feel like you've done so well, with your businesses. And I feel like you're just a great example of balancing it all. I think you have like a really good mindset about everything. So
depends on the day, but you know,
like,
today we're doing it.
Today is a good day.
Yeah, ask me tomorrow. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's been good, and so likewise to you too.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
All right, and that is today's episode. Thank you guys so much for listening. Be sure to go follow Next Chapter Collective on Instagram at Next Chapter Collective, and head over to the website, thenextchaptercollective.com, and check back here for new episodes every Tuesday. Bye, guys.